There are dozens of motivational speakers on tour today, but they are not all created equal. Some are good, while others are better, but only a few are described as the best. I'd like you to meet one of the best, Mr. James Parker. James has been motivating, training, and teaching for the past 10 years. He's a powerhouse, a walking stick of dynamite. His energy is explosive and contagious. James will captivate you as he magically mixes humor with his common sense approach to managing life's challenges. James has been associated with the Zig Ziglar Corporation and has traveled the world delivering motivational presentations and seminars. Once you hear him speak, your life will never be the same. His words will challenge your thinking while motivating and inspiring you to new heights. Ladies and gentlemen, James Parker.
Make it happen.
The next key point to making it happen, I want to suggest to you, you got to learn to be yourself. Joyce Brothers said something that I will never forget. She said, no person can consistently perform in a manner inconsistent with the way that they see themselves. When I think of being yourself, I think of the young boy who grew up in the small town of Tennessee who didn't even know who his father was. And he lived in this small town where people really treated him bad. He'd be in the store and he'd overheard the people going, did they ever find out who his daddy was? And finally, he was going to church for the first time in his life. And he went to this church and he sat on the back row and he listened to what this preacher was saying, but he was so embarrassed that he left. The next Sunday he came again and he got so caught up into the service that he forgot to leave. And he tried to run out of the church before the people could see him, but it was people behind him. And finally, there was someone in front of him. And he felt somebody's arm on his shoulder. And it was that young pastor who said, well, whose child are you? And everybody in that little church did to E.F. Hutton to see what he was going to say. And he said, well, I know the resemblance is unmistakable. Why, you're God's child. Now, that's a great heritage. Now, go and live up to it. Bert Hooper said that was the day that he became the governor of Tennessee. At 9 years old, true story, he no longer saw himself as a bastard child, but he saw himself as God's child, created in his own image. And he began to unleash the potential that we all have within ourselves. So I challenge you today to be yourself and stop trying to live somebody else's dream. There's a special plan in your life. You know, when you come into this world, they tell us that we have a 7 million to 1 chance of getting here. All these sperm chasing this one egg. You were the only one that made it. You were the only one. You wanted to be here. And you didn't let nothing stop you. When you were a little child learning to walk, you get up and fall. You get up and fall. You get up and fall. Not one time did your parents say, sit down, girl, and quit trying to walk. Why? Because you walk. When you walk, that's when you walk. And you don't care how long it takes you to walk. If some people walk before you, that's fine. If some people walk after you, that's fine. But you're going to walk until you walk. You put 3 babies in front of us. They all babble in the same language. But if you raise one up in China, he'll believe in communism. You raise one up in the Amazon, he'll believe in voodoo. You raise one up in Dallas, he'll believe in the Cowboys. It's all programming. And what you've got to do is not be conformed to the world, but transform yourself by the renewing of your mind. You've got to see yourself as you really are, with unlimited potential, born to win, but you've been conditioned to lose. As soon as we start growing up as children, our favorite term people tell us is no. No, 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 no. Stop, quit, don't do that. And before long, you have lost that enthusiasm to succeed. The average 5-year-old child asks as many as 75 questions a day. But see that child when he's 18 years old, when it's down to 15 questions a day. When we're 18, we think we've got all the right answers. But by the time we're 25, we have all the right questions. Because we learned we didn't know as much as we thought we did. But it's so important to be yourself in whatever you're trying to do. I saw a story once of a man who was out selling cookies. And every day he would be out in the morning going, want to buy a cookie? Want to buy a cookie? Want to buy a cookie? And finally, this executive saw him. He said, you see that fella there? I'm going to take him and show him how to really make some money. I'm going to take him and give him a job with our company. I'm going to show him how to really be successful. So he went to the young man and said, how would you like to make some big money, young man? The young man said, sure, I'm interested. Only have one question. How much money can I make as an executive with your company? He said, well, if you really work hard, you can make $30,000 or $40,000 a year working for our company. He said, I only got one problem. Already making $50,000. Want to buy a cookie? Want to buy a cookie? Want to buy a cookie? And that's the beautiful thing about this life that we live. If you love what you do, you can work harder, smarter, stronger, and longer than anyone else doing that thing. The great Renoir, he was 65 years old when arthritis gripped him. It was hard for him to paint. Matisse asked him one day, how do you continue to paint? Why do you go through all of this excruciating pain? He said something we should never forget. He said, the pain passes, but the beauty remains. And that's the secret when you find the thing that you love to do. Instead of watching your watch at 8:59 or 4:59 trying to run out of the door. You're there and you say, oh, did it come up so quickly? Because you lose sight of time. Think about this for a second. There's only 8 notes on a music scale, but look at what Beethoven did with those 8 notes. Look at what Elvis did with 3 of them. There's only 3 primary colors, but look at what Picasso did with those colors. All because they loved the things that they were doing. For so long in my life, I would look at what would pay me the most money. But finally, I got to a point in my life when I had to make it happen. I was working at Western Union, but I was miserable on that job. They were really messing with that short nerve in my body. And finally, I made a decision. And when I went to work for Zig Ziglar, the first thing they told me, they said, we would love to have you to work here, but the only problem that we've got is that we don't have any openings for speakers. All of our speakers we bring from within. Now, the only position that we've got available is in sales. And I thought about several years ago when a young man wanted to go to work for Thomas Edison, the great inventor. And this young man went to interview for Edison. His name was Edwin Barnes. And they told Edwin Barnes, they said, listen, we'd love to have you, but the only position we've got is a janitor. He said, where's the broom? So they told me the only position they had in sales, and I loved it because that means that I had a chance to go around with Zig Ziglar. That means I had a chance to carry his bags. That means I had a chance to sell his tapes. That means that I had a chance to make myself valuable to him. And you can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And one day, the opportunity came to speak. And I was ready for my chance to speak. And I say to you that if you love the thing that you're doing and you're working on that thing day by day, your opportunity will come your way. But you've got to be willing to be yourself. And if what you're doing is not enough, you've got to go back to the drawing board and do some more. But so many people that spend their time trying to live someone else's dreams. And you can't do that if you want to make it happen.
What you want, you're gonna make it happen. Make it happen. And if you're getting on your knees at night and pray to the Lord, He's gonna make it happen. Make it